Hi, I'm Sarah,
Meagen, Kathleen,
and this is our vocation project. We are here interviewing Rabbi Milhander. Let's go.
Why did you become a rabbi?
Great question. Well, I guess everybody has sort of their own story and their own journey. When I was a young child, my parents divorced when I was around 11 years old, and we lived right down the street from the temple. And I was very, very active in the temple, and I sort of just hung out there a lot. And because I hung out there a lot, they sort of put me to work eventually. So I started working at the temple, doing various things, and I eventually became it became a place of comfort for me, and a place where I felt most comfortable. And of course, since I spent so much time there, I obviously gained a lot of knowledge, and I learned the prayers, and I learned the Hebrew, and I learned I got to see what the rabbis did and the cantors did, and it was a very big temple, and we had a lot of kids in the school, and I was a teacher, and so it eventually just sort of became sort of the next logical thing, because that's just where I spent a lot of my time as a child, and then into my teen years.
Nice. So is it different than what you expected, and how, if it is?
That's a great question too. Now that it's been 1995 is when I was ordained, so I've worked in several congregations, and it's not different. I mean, in terms of, I knew, like, I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to serve the community. I always wanted to, be with people, and just whatever I could to, again, be part of the community and serve the community. The only thing that's different, if you want to say different, is the administration work of being a rabbi or a synagogue. In other words, dealing with like a board of directors, or dealing with like budgeting or membership and that kind of stuff is we weren't really trained as best as we could, for something like that. I'm sure if you talk to most people that are clergy people, ministers, priests, rabbis, and the like, they'll say they became a clergy person to help people and to serve the community, not to worry about paying the light bill, and not to worry about toilets that overflow, but sometimes you have to take care of that too. So that's just the way it is.
What did you want to be prior to becoming a rabbi?
Oh, that's really easy. I wanted to be a police officer, so which is kind of like serving the community. Back in the, like, long before you were born, back in what we used to call the 70s, there were you can YouTube. There were a lot of TV shows that were very popular with especially like little boys like me. There were a lot of police shows, cop shows. So I think every little boy, probably the girls too, that I knew wanted to either be a police officer or a mostly firemen. Most boys want to. But I was really into the police thing, and unfortunately, I didn't have any role models. I didn't know any police officers. I didn't know anything. I was like scared, because the police is like, it's a scary thing. But that's kind of like what I wanted to be when I was a little kid. So.
What is your favorite part of being a rabbi?
Good question. I think that my favorite part is being with people. I call it moments of transition. So when people have changes in their lives, and I get to be with people during, and those changes can be happy changes, like when they have babies, when babies are born, or when people get married. I love doing weddings. Weddings are, after so many years, I almost never get nervous about anything. One thing if I could say I get nervous about anything, it would be doing weddings. Not nervous. So it's one thing I have to really concentrate on, because you don't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's watching. They're spending all this money. Everyone's got video cameras. And they're and the bride and groom, like, they're so nervous as it is. And so that's the one thing I really, really focus and concentrate on. And it's such a it's such a privilege to be part of somebody's happiness like that. I mean, it's a real blessing like that. And of course, we also have the difficult moments in people's lives when people lose a loved one, or people get divorced, or some other horrible tragic incident, and all, just dealing with like we had Monday, we have terrorism in America, and just helping people process the issues of our world.
Now, in our class, we've been learning about the Jewish-Catholic relations and how Catholics haven't always been accepting of Jews and have had had hatred of them in the past up until Vatican II.
Right.
But from a Jewish perspective, how do you see it? Like, what do you witness this? Is there still anti-Semitism today?
Well, yeah, of course there's anti-Semitism, not specifically from the Catholic community. I think right now that I certainly since Vatican II, which was 1964, I think, which is even before my time. I think the Catholic community, the Catholic Church, certainly Pope John Paul II and other popes, and again that's broadly, but even locally, I think many Catholic communities have done a lot and gone out of their way to advance a Jewish Catholic dialogue. I mean, we have a dialogue like that here. I don't participate in it, but I know of it here in Orange County, for example, and most other communities have strong bonds and connections. But I don't think that dissipates 1900 years of negative teaching, and so it takes time. When it wasn't specifically Catholic, but when Mel Gibson's movie came out a couple years ago, The Passion of the Christ, that was a very, very difficult thing for the Jewish community. It was very. I mean, he himself is an anti-Semite anyway, but the movie itself was very difficult for us. So I personally hesitate to label people, as anti-Semites or anti-Semitic, because I'm afraid that when you label people, it's like stopping the conversation. You're a racist. Okay, we have nothing more to talk about. I mean, so I think when we just use labels, it defeats the purpose. So, but yes, of course, there's anti-Semitism. Again, certainly not directly from the Catholics or the Catholic community. It just exists in our society and in the world. It's not acceptable. I mean, back in the 20s and 30s, you could be anti-Semitic and you would be very, very pious. There was a famous, unfortunately, a famous priest, Father Kathleen, who had a radio show back in the 1920s. He was horrible, horrible person, said some horrible things. That wouldn't be tolerated today. Movie stars, you can't say things that are anti-Semitic or anti, African American or anti-women or maybe anti-gay. I don't know. So what some of them do is they masquerade criticism for the state of Israel as anti-Semitism. So it's more complicated today, and of course with the advent of the internet, it makes it easier now for people to spew ridiculous, horrible stuff.
Okay.
But overall, I think we have a good relationship. So.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
It was nice talking
That's
to
it?
you. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Good.